And we are live. Happy Halloween, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and this is our all-day-long Halloween extravaganza, kicking off with Elly Griffiths, live from the UK, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new red-hot book, Bleeding Heart Yard. Elly, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here and on Halloween too. Yay. And in the UK, it's already dark. So look, spooky, dark. Obviously, I'm not dressed up. I always dress like this.
That's just your writing outfit.
Yes, just my writing outfit. Yes, Black Cat due to come in any minute. But so my book is called Bleeding Heart Yard. And it has a really beautiful, spooky cover, which I think is very Halloween-y. It's out on the 15th of November. And it's about a group of students who were at school together in the 90s, and they get together for a school reunion, and one of their number is found dead. It's the first case for Detective Inspector now, Harbinder Kaur, who has featured in some of my other books. But now she's moved to London. And this first case is a very high-profile one because the dead man is a Conservative MP. And she's very lucky because a member of her team actually went to the school and is able to give her all the inside duty. And she can trust this woman completely. Or can she? That's kind of where we come in.
Or can she? Dun, dun, dun. Well, I am so excited to get into every delicious detail, and I can't wait because we have so much to talk about. First, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching. So we're broadcasting live to 7 destinations across Facebook and YouTube. Some are watching in private Facebook groups. Wherever you're watching from, this is the right time. You're in the right place, and we are kicking off our Halloween extravaganza. So if you've been here before, you know how this works. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Here's how it works. Every Monday for hashtag Mystery Monday, because you know Mondays can be murder, I give you my favorite handpicked authors and you get to ask them anything. So ask Elly about her Ruth Galloway series, ask her about Harbinder Kaur, ask her about her days at school. Was there ever a murder? We have so much to talk about. So let's dive right in. Just get the questions going in the comments and I'll pop them right up. Anissa, welcome to the conversation, joining us from South Carolina. She says, hello, Sara and Elly. Anissa is an amazing bookstagrammer and librarian.
Oh, wow. I love librarians. How lovely.
Yay. I love librarians too. And we have a mystery user watching us live from a private Facebook group. So if you're in a Facebook group, you can go up to the top of the stream and you can click enable privacy settings, or you can stay mysterious because this is Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Hello and welcome to the conversation. So, Elly, let's kick off with talking about this book. So, the praise is rolling in. I'm going to pop some of it up right here. So, Publishers Weekly awarded you a starred review. Congratulations on that. And let's take a look at what they had to say. They raved stunning, jaw-dropping red herrings, head-banging twists and turns, and Rashomon-like alternating narratives add to the briskly paced plot, which builds to a reconstruction of the original crime and a bombshell revelation. Donna Tartt fans won't be able to put this down. Wow. Elly, congratulations. What high praise, and that is earned. So let's dive right into it. First of all, Donna Tartt fans, rejoice. Here is your new book. It is out in 2 weeks, and Elly's joining us live from the UK to give us the scoop. So let's talk about it.
I'm a huge Donna Tartt fan myself, so you can imagine when I read that, I couldn't believe it. It was wonderful.
Yay. So Elly, let's talk about the red herrings first. So I'm a fan of red herrings. So first of all, in case anyone doesn't know, can you just tell us what a red herring is?
Well, I don't actually know why they're called red herrings, why they've got such a fishy name. I wonder if anyone listening will be able to tell us. But of course, I like to think of them sometimes as misdirection, because I write another series that's to do with magicians. And of course, misdirection is when the magician says, oh, look over there. Oh, look, there's a lady swirling around. Don't look over there. Don't look in my hat where I'm getting this rabbit from. So it's trying to point the readers or the viewers' attention elsewhere. So I think you have to be quite careful with them, don't you? Because they can be a bit annoying if they're complete red herrings. But I think the best red herrings are the ones that They do take you in a slightly different direction, but you can still swim back. I don't know how I'm going to keep this squidgy thing going.
I love it.
You can still swim back to the main narrative. So I do enjoy them, and I do like putting them in. But I think they can't be too out there. I think they have to everything has to mean something, I think.
Exactly. Okay. So when you are, I like how you said the art of misdirection, like a magic trick. So when you are writing these red herrings into your plot, do you write it all out on do you write it all out and say red herring here, trick reader here, or does it come naturally to you, or how's it work?
It's changed, actually. My process has changed a bit. So I started off, I always have I think like lots of writers, here's my current little notebook here. And I have, little sort of plans written down in the book there. So I do sort of write ideas down. But I used to write a sort of chapter plan that started from the beginning and I went through to the end. And in that case, I would sort of put in the red herrings and say where I was going to take readers. But about sort of 5 books ago, in fact, it was The Stranger Diaries, which was my first kind of standalone novel after having written, the series about Ruth Galloway, which I'm still writing, and the Brighton Mysteries, also still writing. So this is my first kind of standalone book, and it had a very complicated plot told from 3 different viewpoints, and it was sort of gothic, and it included a made-up Victorian story, which I loved writing, but I didn't write any of that down. And it was really strange because it actually helped with my plotting, and I felt I was able to be a little freer. To actually allow myself, it wasn't quite so linear. So I think it actually did help with the plotting. And there was a terrific quote, I think it's E.L. Doctorow, said that writing like that is like driving in the dark with your headlights on. You can only see a bit of the road ahead, but you can make the whole journey like that. And that worked for that one book, and and it won the Edgar, actually. So it was a really successful book for me. And so from then on, when I haven't written down a chapter plan, I just write down sort of loose ideas, and I let myself go with the flow with those red herrings and scary sharks and the rest of it.
Ooh, and it's interesting. First of all, I'm interested that your writing process changed, and that your writing process changed from your series to your standalone. And I'm extremely interested that both worked well for you. You won, as you said, an award from the plotted book, but you felt that this one, out in 2 weeks, actually it served you better not to plot. I mean, this is all just so fascinating.
Isn't it? I do think it's really interesting. I love talking to you and to other writers, because isn't it so different the way everyone is different, and there's no right or wrong way, is there? And I did an event recently with Lisa Jewell, who's a terrific writer, and a great debut writer called RJ Chowdhury, and we had such different ways of. I mean, Lisa just sits at the computer and just lets anything come into her head, but RJ's from a tech background. He was very sort of careful about his plotting and everything, and it's just so different. And it was interesting to me that my process did change, and it became just a little less sort of linear, a little less controlled. I think maybe sort of trusted myself a bit that I would be able to come back to where I'd started from, really, or come back to the right place. So sometimes now when I start writing a book, I don't even maybe know who did it. I have an idea. And I just let that happen. I write something down. I think to myself, wow, that's significant, but I don't know why.
Wow. Now, did it take you longer because you were just flowing with it and maybe you got stuck somewhere?
No, I don't think it took me longer. Maybe I did have to spend a little bit more time sort of going back and making sure that everything sort of made sense, sort of was retrospectively cursive, if you like, sort of everything did. So maybe I did have a little more time in the editing process, maybe. But actually I think the writing process was quicker, because I was just thinking, what if this happens? Let's see what, there's a knock on the door, and who is it? Trick or treat.
Trick or treat. I hope it's a treat. I love that. Alicia, welcome to the conversation. She said, hello, ladies, and happy Halloween. Alicia's joining us live from Texas. I love your little pumpkin emoji there, Alicia. Thank you. And Alicia has a question. She'd like to know, Elly, do your book characters talk to you? And if they do, have you had to change something in the story because of it? Cool question, Alicia.
What a cool question. Can I just say that my best friend from school, who's still one of my best friends, is called Haney, Carol Haney. So what if you were a relative of hers? So I feel a connection with you right away. Yes, they do. Sometimes they do. And that's another thing. It sort of carries on from what I was saying before, in that I've sort of learned to listen to them, really. And sometimes I think to myself, you know, when I'm writing, the characters, you know, maybe once they want to do something or go somewhere, and I think, oh, you can't do that. But now I think, why not? Why not? Let them do that. That's what they want to do. Let them do that. And in the Ruth Galloway series, there's a character who's a druid, called Cathbad. And I was, I think, writing the third book about Ruth Galloway. And suddenly Cathbad does something very strange that I had certainly not planned for him to do in the series arc. But he just did it. And I think I thought, well, you know, let him do it. And it did kind of change the course of the books in a certain way. So I think I'm learning to listen to them a bit more, Alicia.
Ooh, learning to listen. And do you think that that is because, as you said a moment ago, you're able at this point in your career to trust yourself? You used the word trust. Is it about the trust for you?
I think it is. I think it is trusting and being a little bit more confident. Because well, then again, we always think, don't we, it's going to get easier with each book, and it really doesn't, does it? Some books are still very difficult, and some are a lot easier. So with this book, with Bleeding Heart Yard, because it was a new group of characters, really. Harbinder was coming in from another book, but really she was the only returning character. I really loved that because it was a group, and their group dynamics were new to me. And I would think to myself, well, what if so-and-so pops around to see so-and-so? And what would they do then? And what if they go to Brighton for the day? What will happen there? So it was sort of playing with them, really, in a really fun way. So actually, although it's quite a dark book in some ways, and it's got a witchy title, it was actually lots of fun, I have to say.
Yay. Well, I am very excited. Lija, thank you for the great question. Elly, thank you for the sneak peek into your process. I am loving this conversation. And y'all, I just want to remind you that the book is not even out yet. It is out in 2 weeks, November 15th here in the US. And you can pre-order your copy today from Murder by the Book, our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore.
Fantastic bookstore.
Yay! And you can, and the good folks at the bookstore will send out your copy as soon the day that the book drops. So Bleeding Heart Yard out November 15th. And here is the link to pre-order you guys, because you're going to love this book. So I'm going to pop the link up wherever you are watching from. Here we go. Ooh, Anissa has a great question. Elly, what is a book that you read that made you want to be a writer?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, Anissa. Do you know, the first book I remember reading to myself, you know, was Alice in Wonderland. And I do remember, I don't know if that book made me want to be a writer, but it certainly made me want to be a reader. Because I remember, I don't know how old I was, about 4 or 5. And I've got 2 much older sisters. So they're 15 and 16 years older than me. So I was kind of on my own a bit as a child. And I do remember I spent the whole day under a table reading this book. And I just thought, I discovered that that was a way you could spend your day, just reading a book. And, you know, my parents obviously approved of this and left me alone under the table with the dog, you know, reading the book. And it also, there certainly are echoes of Alice in Wonderland in my books now. I think, you know, the idea of the doors, little secret doorways opening, people getting bigger and smaller, sort of mystery, and also in the center of it, a slightly acerbic heroine like Alice, who is wonderfully acerbic if you read back. She really argues with all these fantastical creatures she meets along the way. So I think you can still see echoes of that in my writing. But I also remember my mum was so lovely. She read to us for a long time. I think she read to me till I was about 14 or 15. And I still remember my sisters, you know, when I was quite young, you know, they'd be going out for the evening, but they'd be sitting on the stairs still listening to the story. And my mum read me David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. It's such a long book to embark on. She was great. She was a great reader. Her dad was an actor, and she was obviously, you know, a great actress herself and a great sort of voice actor. But she says that the bit where there's a shipwreck there, she says that I asked her to read that a few times to me, and she thought that was quite strange in a youngish child to sort of be noticing the writing. And I think that I just thought, wow, that's wonderful. And I do remember thinking, you know, I'd love to be able to write like that, you know. Wow, talk about giving yourself a high bar to write like Charles Dickens. But I just do remember thinking that was just such an amazing scene.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And yes, and I love picturing little Elly hearing David Copperfield and thinking, I want to do that. And here you are, adult Elly, doing that. How fabulous.
And I did
it.
think a little bit that Dickens was sort of walking beside me in this book, because it's set, of course, it's set in London. It's my first book to be set in London, which is where I was born and where I was at university. And of course, Dickens famously wrote about all parts of London, and he actually wrote about Bleeding Heart Yard. In Little Dorrit, he mentions Bleeding Heart Yard. So it's a part of London. It's right near the place where Fagin had his den in Oliver Twist. So there are lots of sort of echoes of Dickens in the book. So maybe that's another reason. I didn't really think about that when I was answering the question, but you know, maybe there just is a bit of a Dickens connection here.
Ooh, that is interesting. That is interesting. I actually lived in London as well. I lived in Islington. I went to City University. So any book set in London has my heart. Okay, y'all, any questions for Elly? Let us know. This is your time. This is how we do it on Mystery Monday. This is your time to ask your favorite author any questions you have for her, or meet your next favorite author. So any questions, please don't be shy. Oh, and I see one coming in right now. Perfect. Marion says, Marion from Texas here. Hi, Marion. She says she'd like to know, Elly, did you enjoy writing a standalone so much that you'll write another? Great question, Marion.
Oh, hi, Marion. Yes, definitely. It was so much fun. In some ways, though, I don't think I'm very good at writing standalones, because Stranger Diaries was meant to be a standalone, and the detective from that featured again in the Postscript Murders, and she features in this book too, Harbinder Kaur. So somehow my standalones do sort of turn into series. So I don't quite know how that happens, but I definitely will write another standalone, because there is such a great freedom. Because when you write a long-running series, you know, say the Ruth books, I've just finished writing book 15, The Last Remains, which will be out in the States April next year. But of course, people know Ruth. Well, you hope, you know, lots of people do know. And they sort of trust her. She's a reliable narrator, if you like. Yeah. And it's quite fun to write about people who might not be so reliable, as is the case with Cassie, one of the detectives in this book. Is she reliable? We don't really know.
Ooh. I am loving this question. I am loving these questions and these answers, Marion. Thank you for the great question. So you guys, today is, of course, Halloween, and this is our Halloween extravaganza. Now, I have promised you prizes and surprises. So I think it's time for our first surprise and our first prize. So I will buy the winner a copy of Bleeding Heart Yard. So to enter, drop us a comment and tell us what your favorite Halloween candy is, and I will pick a winner tomorrow. So your favorite Halloween candy to win a copy of Bleeding Heart Yard the day it comes out, November 15th. So let's get that going in the comments. Now, while everyone is commenting, another question. Who has been your hardest character to write and why? So let's talk about the multiple POVs, and then let's talk about who was the hardest and why.
Oh, another great question, Nietzsche.
Lisa has great questions.
It is an interesting one again, isn't it? Because it's not always the characters you think are going to be hard to write who are. So, for example, in this book, in Bleeding Heart Yard, there are 3 point of view characters. There's Harbinder, who is the detective. There's Cassie, who is also a detective and on Harbinder's team, but she knows a bit more than she's letting on about the group of students who were involved a long time ago in what they think was a murder. And there's another character called Anna, who is also in the group, but has always felt herself a little bit of an outsider. And after school and university, she went to live in Rome, and now she's come back because her mum is ill. She's looking after her mum, and she's sort of drawn back into this circle of friends. Of those 3, I loved writing Anna. I don't think, you always think, you know, I don't know if she's based on anyone I know, but I felt that I knew her very well. And I also particularly loved writing about her mum. You know, I talked about my mum. I had a lovely mum and she has a lovely mum. So it was really nice writing about that. I think of the three characters, I found Cassie the hardest because she was possibly holding something back. And of course, as a writer, I want to lay all the clues out there for my readers, and I do that. But if you're doing that in this way, you have to make sure that they're there, but they're not too obvious. So possibly found her a little harder to write. And also she had been through quite a trauma in the book. And I wanted to be true to that. You know, something terrible had happened to her at school. And I wanted to be true to that. So I found that a little hard to write. So I think of the three characters in this book. Think of my Ruth Galloway books. Funnily enough, I found the hardest character there to write is Cathbad, the Druid. Although he's one of my favourite characters. And I think readers like him too. But it is quite hard to write because, again, I want to be very true to his beliefs, which aren't necessarily my beliefs, but I want to be very true to them. And of course, he believes them. So when you're writing a character, you have to believe what they believe. So I think it takes a little bit. Maybe I should just write him wearing this witch's hat because you need to tap into those beliefs. You can't have any distance, can you? You can't have any of that slightly ironical, omniscient narrator distance. You have to be, if you're in a point of view, really in it. So I guess Cathbad is the hardest character to write. My favourite character to write is probably Ruth, but also I do write a children's series about a girl called Justice, and I love writing about her.
And what do you love writing about Ruth? Why is Ruth your favorite character?
I suppose she is a character who I do find relatable. She's not me. I mean, I think people think she is, but she's not. We're quite different in lots of ways. She's an archaeologist, I'm not. She's an atheist, I'm not. She's quite introverted, and I'm not. But I do think we probably could be friends. And I quite like writing about. I think she's got a very good sense of herself. And I hope she can sometimes, again, a bit like Arbinda maybe, and a bit like Alice in Wonderland, be quite acerbic in a way that I quite enjoy doing.
Ooh, okay. I love it. Susan joining us from YouTube says, I like your costumes. Thank you. So Elly is joining us from the UK, dressed obviously as a witch, and I am a flapper who is a girl detective investigating the mysteries of all great fiction. So thank you for noticing.
That's very golden age, isn't it? I love it.
Thank you. My next book takes place in the golden age, so I'm trying to lean in, Elly.
Lovely.
Lynette joining us from YouTube says, hi from Portland, Oregon. Hi, Lynette. Welcome. She says, my favorite Halloween candy is going to sound odd, but it's the sweetheart son that I gave birth to 44 years ago on Halloween, Leland. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I can't stand it.
Lovely. Well, my mum, we seem to talk a lot about my mum tonight, but her birthday was tomorrow, the 1st of November. So I think it's a very good time to have a birthday. And 1st of November is obviously All Saints' Day. So I think it's a terrific time of year to be born.
Oh, yes, exactly. Leacha's saying, thank you so much for answering her questions, Elly. Jane, we have so many great answers coming in about, second vote for Reese's peanut butter cups.
You see, we don't have those here. I don't think we do.
Oh, that's right, because peanut butter's not big in London the way it is over here.
No, and I had them when I was in the States last, and my goodness, they're really good. But I don't think they're very easy to get here.
I am seeing a couple votes for peanut butter cups. Leacha is saying your book sounds like such a great read, and she loves your cover. So she loves your spooky cover. So Elly, let's talk about the story. I'm going to hold it up so everybody can see the story of your cover. So tell us about this cover.
Well, it's quite interesting, really, because the UK cover is very different. It sort of has, I don't have it to hand, actually, but it sort of has a flower on it, which is actually a flower called Bleeding Heart. So it's sort of, it's very pretty. It's very beautiful.
I grow them. I grow Bleeding Hearts. They're beautiful.
With the sort of bell-shaped, I mean, it's very pretty. But this, I think, is more mystery. And one of the mysteries actually is where it is, because as I think I was saying earlier on, Bleeding Heart Yard is a real place in London. It's near Holborn, so I'm sure you know the area. It's near London Bridge Station, so really not that far from where you're at university. So it's you know, it's a really interesting area, but the actual square itself is a little bit disappointing. It's a cobbled square, and there's a really good spooky story attached to it, which I do put in the book. But in itself, it's not that, it doesn't photograph very well. So I think this is probably Mayfair or Shepherd's Market, or one of those sort of streets with those mews houses, where you're a bit like number 10 Downing Street, which of course is a wonderfully interesting address in Britain at the moment. It's like an Airbnb, really. There's keep going in and staying a couple of weeks and going out, you know.
There's a lot of, there's a loose check-in and check-out policy.
It really is, yeah. A loose check-in policy, absolutely. Anyhow, so I think it's one of those sort of streets. So when my American publishers showed it to me, you know, at Mariner Books, I said, oh, I absolutely love it. And we had a little bit of a debate about where it actually was. And the Times correspondent in the UK, who's a great guy called Mark Sanderson, actually did a little piece in the Times about where is this cover? You know, where is it? And I don't think anyone's quite worked out exactly where in London it is, but it's a wonderfully spooky cover. I love the writing. I love the you know, I think both my publishers have just done me so proud with my covers. But I always find it interesting how different they are. You know, the covers in the US are always very different.
They are so different. And sometimes the title changes as well, but I'm glad they kept this one.
Yes, I don't think I've had title changes, apart from I had a book called Dying Fall, which in the US was A Dying Fall. I don't know why it kept the article there. But haven't had a title change. But yes, it is very interesting, is it, different markets. And I love looking at, I've just had some Estonian books translated into Estonia. And I just love that. I just love looking at the different covers.
And the different languages and the different alphabets. Yes. And it's just so fascinating.
It's so cool, isn't it?
It's so cool. Y'all, I want to remember, we have 4 minutes left. So any questions, any last minute questions, get them going. And I want to remind you to pre-order now. The book's not even out. This is Elly is joining us live from England to give us the inside scoop on Bleeding Heart Yard, out in 15 days in the US, November 15th. So grab your copy. Here's the link. Click, pre-order it now. Lynette is saying 10 Downing Street and Airbnb. Thank you for the chuckles. I chuckled too. I'm so glad I'm on staycation day today. I got to come to this particular event. Lynette, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. Here. Hi, Lynette. And great for you to share your staycation day with us. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you for joining us for the Mystery and Thriller Maven Halloween Extravaganza. I have promised you prizes and surprises, and we're giving away our first book. So share the Halloween candy treat of your choice in the comments. Leach, meanwhile, wants to know, what's your favorite candy, Sarah and Elly? Elly, you go first.
Oh, I really like, it's a rather, sort of childish thing, but I really like Cadbury's chocolate buttons. I really like them. There's just a particular something about the shape and the taste of them, that they're a real treat to me. And and the giant chocolate buttons are even more of a giant treat. So I think Cadbury's chocolate buttons. What about you?
Oh, okay, so we all know now that I love it. Elly's favorite candy is the Cadbury chocolate buttons. So I love peppermint patties. I love mint and dark chocolate. So I like dark chocolate more than milk chocolate. I like that sort of bitter, dark taste.
Ooh, yes.
And I also like peanut butter cups. I love Milky Ways. I just love candy, you guys. I also love Swedish Fish, anything fruity flavored. And I like the Sour Patch Kids, but I also love Cadbury anything. So Cadbury is the one milk chocolate exemption I will do, because anything
it's a particular taste, isn't it? And
it tastes better in England. They're different. They are different. They say they're the same, but they're different.
That is so true, isn't it? Yes, very interesting. And there's that particular, and I think Cadbury's family were great philanthropists, and there are whole villages that were founded by the Cadbury and the Bourneville family. So it's the Quaker family. So it's very interesting. Chocolatiers in Britain have a very interesting history.
Chocolatiers. I love it. I want to be a chocolatier.
I don't know if I made that word up, but anyhow, why not?
No, that's the thing. I love it. I love it. Oh, Marion's saying she just ordered the book. Thank you, Elly and Sara. Yay. Thank you guys so much. Leach saying, to follow up to her question, she said Cadbury chocolates are good. She likes the Cadbury chocolate bar that has the raisins and the nuts.
Yes. And there used to be a really fun advert when I was a kid about everyone's a fruit and nut case that was about that.
I remember that. Oh, I love that. Y'all, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us for this kickoff to the Mystery and Thriller Maven Halloween Extravaganza, kicking off here with Elly Griffiths with her inside scoop on Bleeding Heart Yard. This book is getting all of the praise. And you can pre-order it with the link I shared and get your copy. When the day that it comes out, which is November 15th. Elly, thank you for spending your Halloween
Sara. It's been so much fun.
And I just want to end with this last bit of praise where AJ Finn, who is, of course, the #1 New York Times selling author, shared that you, Elly, are his favorite, flat out favorite contemporary suspense writer. And that is high praise from Mr. Finn.
So kind.
What a perfect note to end on. Y'all, thank you for joining us. And this is our first event. We have Lee Child and Andrew Child are your fellow Brits.
Yeah, Lee is terrific. You'll have so much fun with him and Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming back. They come back every year. So we're so excited to welcome them back. Then we have Lisa Unger, Katie Size, and Erin E. Adams. So stay tuned. More prizes and surprises to come. Thank you so much, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.